guilty.
Let's get started with the breaking news everyone is talking about. A Wisconsin jury has acquitted Kyle Rittenhouse of all charges. Let's turn it over to Isabella Rosales, who's live with the latest.
Inside of the courthouse, as we heard the clerk say not guilty to all 5 of those felonies, the most serious of which would have meant life in prison for Kyle Rittenhouse. We heard his mother, Wendy, audibly gasp in awe and relief. Rittenhouse also emotional, shuddering, trying to control back sobs, at one point collapsing onto his chair, his attorney telling him to breathe. The state had one shot at this, one shot to try this case, and with not guilty, that's it. He is a free man, and because of double jeopardy, he won't be tried on these charges again.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty on all charges by a jury in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The verdict coming after roughly 25 hours of deliberation by the panel of 5 men and 7 women. Rittenhouse was accused of first-degree intentional homicide and 4 other felony charges. The shooting came in the wake of unrest in Kenosha following the police shooting of Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man. Rittenhouse traveled to Kenosha and was given an AR-15 style rifle by a friend. After a crowd pursued him, he shot 3 people, killing Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber and injuring Gage Grosskreutz. He also shot at an unidentified man who kicked him and tried to flee. Rittenhouse claims self-defense.
I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself.
The prosecution called 22 witnesses, hoping to show that Rittenhouse provoked those around him, leading to the shooting. Defense attorneys arguing that Rittenhouse was under attack and had no other choice in order to save his own life.
Something's wrong with this system.
In anticipation of a verdict, the governor of Wisconsin put 500 National Guard troops on standby. And so those jurors spent 25 hours in deliberation, 3.5 days, and they agreed unanimously that Rittenhouse did act in self-defense. It appeared that the prosecution, this critical star piece of evidence was that high-quality drone video that we saw of the moment where Rittenhouse shot Joseph Rosenbaum. The prosecution thought that that would be the smoking gun, the moment that the jurors would really get on their side. But it appears that that really brought the jurors into all of that chaos on that day, August 25th of 2020. Live in Kenosha, Wisconsin, I'm Isabel Rosales.
And this news just into our newsroom. The U.S. is moving to open up COVID-19 booster shots to all adults, letting them choose another dose of either Moderna or Pfizer vaccine. Regulators authorized broader use of the shots today, seeking to simplify what really has been a confusing list of who's eligible, but the CDC still needs to agree before tens of millions of more Americans qualify, a decision its advisors debated. The U.S. government is trying to get ahead of rising coronavirus cases that experts fear could snowball into a winter surge with upcoming holiday travel. Hawaii reported 206 COVID infections today. Keep in mind, the State Department of Health has said it expects additional backlogged cases to be reported in the next few weeks. Officials said this backlog involves testing providers that recently began to provide data to the state's electronic lab reporting system. Meanwhile, the state also reported 6 additional COVID-19 related fatalities, raising the state's death toll to 998.
A 13-year-old girl is dead after a crash in Waikoloa on the Big Island. Police say the driver lost control of a car and hit the teen who was walking with her friend. The vehicle then rolled over several times. This happened near the intersection of Kamakoa Drive and Iwikumo'o Drive at around 6:30 last night. The girl was pronounced dead about 5 hours later. The 21-year-old driver was arrested for negligent homicide, DUI, and driving without a license. The 13-year-old victim's name is being withheld because she is a juvenile. They say they're doing God's work. The feds say they're criminals. Now, a new indictment accuses a Filipino televangelist of running a child sex ring out of a Waipahu church. Rick Desog has the story.
When federal law enforcement agents raided the Kingdom of Jesus Christ's churches last year for human trafficking, they did not charge the church's controversial founder, Apollo Kibaloi. But today's new indictment, which accuses the church and its officials of sex trafficking, alleges that Kibeloy was the ringleader of the criminal enterprise.
The founder of the church and 2 top administrators were charged for orchestrating a sex trafficking operation that actually, recruited and coerced girls as young as 12 years old.
The feds say there were a total of 5 women who were trafficked and that 3 of them were minors. Attorney Victor Bakke represented one of those victims.
She was sexually abused. She was forced into labor. She was physically abused. And then when she reported it, they retaliated against her.
The feds also say that the church forced young members to work long hours in the hot streets, soliciting donations for a bogus charity.
The funds were actually used to fund church operations and just very lavish lifestyles of the leaders.
Kibeloy has previously denied the sex trafficking charges, and his attorney says the new case is based on witness testimony that's untrue.
We have the documents. We have the audit. We can show that they lied, and we can basically show the reason they lied.
The new indictment also alleges that the local manager for the church helped solicit women to have sex with Kibeloy, then ordered them not to talk about it. That manager, Felina Salinas, previously served 30 days in prison for making false statements over the ownership of more than $300,000 in cash that was allegedly being smuggled out of Hawaii in 2018 in Kibeloy's private jet. The feds say they want to extradite Kibeloy, who is a close friend of Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte. The pastor's lawyer says that's not going to happen.
I don't know if the president of the Philippines will go along with it.
Rick Desog, Hawaii News Now.
The yeas are 220. The nays are 213. The Build Back Better bill is passed.
We've got more developing news, this time coming out of D.C. A sharply divided House has approved the Democrats' sweeping social and environment bill, a big victory for President Joe Biden. Republicans solidly opposed the measure, but Democrats prevailed after the party's progressives and moderates ended months of disputes over the size and scope.
All of this is a huge blow to American competitiveness. Job-killing tax hikes.
A really cause for celebration for us now. It's historic, it's transformative, it's bigger than anything we've ever done.
The legislation now moves to the Senate, where it faces an uncertain future.
The reward for information leading to the remains of Isabella Ariel Kalua is now up to $15,000. That's after an anonymous donor added another $4,000. You can also call Crime Stoppers or leave an anonymous message on the P3 Tips app. We're learning more about what it might take to convict the little girl's adoptive parents, Lehua and Isaac Kalua. The prosecutor says he wants to put the accused killers in jail for life without parole, but as Lynn Koana reports, child murder cases rarely go to trial in the state system.
Many of the high-profile child murder cases in state court ended with plea agreements and sentences much shorter than expected.
It's very, very rare for this to happen.
Prosecuting attorney Steve announced he will be seeking a life without parole sentence for Isaac and Lehua Kalua if the Waimanalo foster parents are found guilty of second-degree murder for the alleged killing of Isabella Ariel Kalua.
And when it's a child that is helpless and defenseless, if it's true, no one would say some punishment is too much.
While many are outraged by the allegations that the 6-year-old was kept in a dog cage, starved, and according to prosecutors, died with duct tape over her nose and mouth, legal experts say many of these child murder cases end in plea deals with lighter sentences. Earlier this year, Kevin LEHANO and his wife Tiffany Stone, whose 9-year-old daughter JAYLIN was beaten and starved to death, pleaded no contest to manslaughter. After serving about 4 years in jail, both were released, sentenced to 10 years probation. HENRIETTA Stone, the girl's grandmother, is the only one wanting to go to trial for murder too. Peter KEMA Sr., who was convicted of killing his son Peter Boy, then throwing his remains into the ocean, pleaded to manslaughter and got a 20-year sentence in 2017. His wife JAYLIN KEMA also pleaded to manslaughter and got 10 years.
Murder trials in general are difficult to prove, especially when you don't have a body.
Trial might also be tough for Isabella Ariel Kalua's older sister. the main witness in the case, who was just 12 years old.
If the minor witness doesn't want to testify, or she's so scared to go in front of, her foster mom and dad, she'll be sitting in court 20 feet away from these people who abused her and who put her through this, and she'll have to testify right in front of them while they stare directly at her. For adults, that's scary. For a 12-year-old child, it's excruciating.
Attorneys say if one of the Kaluas turns witness for a lighter sentence, that could prove helpful in finding the child's remains.
It's worth a pass as to how long you spend in prison if this girl is allowed to be buried in a place where there's dignity.
A recent child murder case that did end with a life sentence was tried in 2015 in the federal system where there is no parole. Naeem Williams beat to death his 6-year-old daughter Talia on Schofield Barracks. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Well, Sunrise was on the road today in Manila, and we had a conversation with UH President David Lasner. Here, I want to play out a portion of that interview.
There's a vaccine mandate that's going into effect spring of 2022. It's actually stricter than the one for the state, where there's no testing option unless you have a legitimate exemption.
That's right.
Why did you decide to take a stronger stance, and what's the feedback been?
We were actually we were out ahead of almost the entire state, so we've been watching what's been happening nationally. Our campuses have been among the safest places in this state, including through the Delta surge in August, September. We did not see a commensurate increase in cases on our campuses. It's really been amazing, including in our student residence halls, which are at full occupancy. And the vaccine mandate has been a huge, huge part of that. We want everybody to be able to come to UH campuses and feel very comfortable that these are safe places for them to get an education and improve their lives.
Yeah, and collaborate and have face-to-face with the teacher. What about the response from the students and the faculty?
Well, as with pretty much everything, most people are pretty happy with it. And the people who are not happy are the ones we hear from the most.
Right.
So we have a fair number of people who oppose vaccination mandates, who oppose vaccination in general, and we do hear from them. But we're really committed to do what's best for our students and our employees.
Priorities post-pandemic. Not that we're there yet, but still.
Well, we're actually already working on those priorities for recovery and beyond. There's 4 of them. I'll just be quick. One of them is we know that post-secondary education is the most powerful tool for improving people's lives and their families. A bachelor's degree is worth about $1.5 million in lifetime earnings. Mm-hmm. So we need to get more people educated in this state. Secondly, we need to really focus on the areas of workforce in this state where our employers need more local applicants. So teachers, healthcare, construction. UH has got to make sure we step up and provide applicants for those jobs. Third, we need to help develop the economy of the state of Hawaii beyond tourism and military spending. That's a huge, again, something only UH can really do. Technology, agriculture, sustainable tourism. And then fourth, our research enterprise. Last year we were about $480 million. It's a huge economic sector for this state, and that's money we bring in from other places. UH as an economic driver is actually bigger than agriculture in this state.
Yeah, and again, this is the university going above and beyond and reaching out into different aspects of our life and having that kind of an impact. You had asked for input, public input on Mauna Kea and the master plan. What have you gotten from that, and how closely are you going to look into the public input?
We read every piece of it. We're cataloging it. As with most things, we hear more from people who are against something, whether it's vaccination, whether it's astronomy on Mauna Kea. But we try to also look at the substance of it, not just are you for or against? And, there are opinion polls that, we know where the bulk of the population is, but that's not necessarily who we hear from.
Yeah, and again, we don't want to put those groups necessarily side by side, but to say that there are different topics that we are getting feedback.
Yeah, there is absolutely opposition to astronomy on Mauna Kea.
Yeah. All right, so good to hear that we're in a good state here at the University of Hawaii. Thank you. UH President David Lassner.
All right, that was Sunrise on the Road. They had some fun out there this morning, and you can watch more of those clips on our HNN digital platforms. Let's take you live outside.
Ooh.
Very blue out there. No fog, at least that I can see. Guy Hoggy was also on the road, and he filed this weather report for us.
Hey everybody, I bet you didn't know that Manoa, the team here, the sand volleyball team, was the Big West champions in 2016, 2017, and 2018. And you know why? They got fantastic facilities. Look at this. Right near the part of the Clarence T.C. Ching Athletic Complex is the sand volleyball courts. Man, excellent. Bet that the sand is a little bit toasty now with all the sunshine. But that's why they're so good. They got these top-notch facilities, so they don't have to play in Waikiki anymore. They can just practice right here. Top-notch stuff. Anyway, good happening here in Manoa. Now, as far as the weather over the next 7 days, the weather's going to be fantastic. We've got light trade winds coming back today and tomorrow. Maybe even a sea breeze because the winds won't be that strong today or tomorrow. They'll start filling in for Maui and the Big Island first and then move up the island chain. So by Sunday, it's going to be a breezy day. In fact, those breezy conditions are expected to persist for the rest of next week. And that's not a bad thing because air quality is going to be good with the breezy winds. Humidity levels will be lower. And we will see a few more overnight and early morning showers, mainly for those windward and Mauka neighbors. No significant rain events are expected anytime soon. And remember, we're coming up on the last week of hurricane season. And so far, we've skated by very nicely.
On this week's Mothership, a mother of three describes how she coped with the sudden loss of her husband at a very young age and how life's journey unexpectedly led her to find new love.
Dating in your 40s, because it was like right, I was 40s, is so not easy. You find when you date a widow, it's so different than dating a divorcee. Because a divorcee, it's like they're dealing with things that are still there. And they're like kind of coming out of a situation. Like a divorce is it is like a death. I'm convinced. I've talked to so many people and it is. But they're coming out of a situation where it was like, they just for some reason it didn't work. And when you date a widow, it's like they're coming out of a situation that they never wanted to leave. They didn't expect to leave. It wasn't their choice or anything. And so it's not like you have disdain for this person you left. Like you still love them very much, but they're just not there. So it's a hard thing. I think I would say 100% of the people I have dated have a hard time going through that. And then you realize it's like a child. It's not that you love one more than the other. And it's not that one replaces the other. It's just that your heart learns to grow, that it has more room. And then, so I always say the positives of dating a widow is that you are so used to what can go away in an instant that you are very, very aware of trying not to go to bed angry, of trying to make sure you get that last hug or kiss when you walk out the door.
Always interesting topics there on Stephanie Lum's podcast, Mothership. You can find Mothership anywhere you find your podcast. Just search for it. And you can also find a bunch of other H&N podcasts by just searching for Hawaii News Now. Let's get to some news the internet is talking about. And I've been waiting to watch this video. I honestly haven't seen it yet. I just read about it. So we're going to play this out together, guys. All right, so this is what happened during live TV. Yep. You never know what's going to happen on live TV. And just check that out. A cat interrupted a live political show in the country of Georgia.
Country?
Yep, it was the country of Georgia. Yep, making the host and his guest smile, that's for sure. You can see the cat jumped right up on the news desk there and just had some fun and started cleaning himself and ignoring the humans right there. very serious topics, I guess, there.
Why was there a cat?
Why was there a cat in the newsroom? Well, often we have pets here,
That's
as you
true.
know.
We
So
have
maybe it's
a
like
dog here.
maybe it's their like news cat, like how we have
Okay.
Sunny. So
Right.
maybe more cat news.
Yeah, John filled the show, so more cat
yeah.
news. Here we go. We're sticking with the cat theme. Meet 4-month-old Midas. Now, she was born with 2 sets of ears and a defective jaw due to a recessive genetic mutation. But this has made her an internet star. She has more than 73,000 followers. Now, according to her vet, the additional ears do not affect her hearing or her health. What makes her special from other cats with this similar genetic abnormality is that all 4 of the ear laps are connected to the ear canal.
I have to say, darn cute
I
cat.
know. I like it.
I do too. So cute.
Yeah. And on Monday, you guys, KGMB and CBS, they kick off the expansive lineup of festive programming with the beloved annual airing of the animated classic, you guessed it, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And to celebrate the holiday season, the kids of some of your favorite CBS shows tell us about their family holiday traditions. Check it out.
Well, I love watching Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, pretty much all the different Santa movies, because it just feels like tradition, it's what I do around the holidays.
Some of my favorite holiday memories and traditions are spending time with my family, making Filipino food and holiday treats with them.
My cousins and I like to snuggle up together at my grandparents' house and read the night before Christmas.
I definitely love movies like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer can actually teach you good lessons.
Rudolph, Christmas is not off, and you're going to lead my team.
I am
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's all y'all get, all right?
My family celebrates both Christmas and Hanukkah, but Hanukkah is my favorite of all because the food is really good.
What I love about the holiday season is being with family. I really care about that stuff, and it's really nice to see them over the holidays.
Being with family during Christmas, it makes you feel happy and loved.
And I think that is definitely my favorite tradition.
I remember Frosty the Snowman is a huge part of my childhood. I watched that movie probably 10 different times on 10 different occasions.
I am alive! What a neat thing to happen to a nice guy like me.
Really thankful for my hamsters, thankful to be with my family, thankful for everything. I am just excited to kick off the holidays.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays from my family to yours.
Lots of happiness and love.
Hope y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
All right, don't miss your favorite holiday classics. Rudolph airs Monday, November 22nd at 7 p.m. Hawaii time. Then catch Frosty the Snowman and Frosty Returns the following Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. on CBS. That's KGMB.
All right, let's take you live to Washington, D.C., where it's already dark outside. Some big action happening there on the White House lawn, or Capitol lawn, I should say. This is the Capitol Christmas tree from Northern California, traveling over 4,500 miles. Check out that fall foliage there. It's looking a lot like autumn, and I'm loving it. This year's tree is named Sugar Bear, and it will be placed on the west lawn. The ornaments will be used by handmade by members of the California community.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool. All right, guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now on this Friday. Ashley's going to be back at 4, so you don't want to miss that. And we've had a lot of images come into our newsroom of last night's eclipse and wanted to end the show sharing those with you.